Afternoon, sir. I am going to discuss the concept of cell theory. Cell theory, or cell doctrine, state that all organisms are composed of similar units of organization called cell. Cell theory state that all biological organisms are composed of cells. Next, in 1839, by Sheldon and Swan, has remained as the foundation of modern biology. In 1859, the ideas predates other great paradigms of biology, including Darwin's theory of evolution. 1865, Mendel's law inheritance, and 1940, the establishment of comparative biochemistry. Next is the three main functions of cell theory. First, all organisms are made up of one or more cells because all living things are raised from pre-existing cell by division. The cell is the fundamental unit of structure and function in all living organisms. The activity of an organism depends on the total activity of independent cells. Next is the cell is the basic unit of structure and organization that performs life functions. Because all cells are independent single organisms that take in nutrients, detect that respond to their environment, move, breathe, grow, and reproduce. Next is Hans and Zacharias Janssen, the two Dutch eyeglass maker. Zacharias and son Hans Janssen experimented with two lenses placed in a tube. The Jensens observed that viewed the objects in front of the tube appeared greatly enlarged, creating both the forerunner of the compound microscope and the telescope. Next is in 1663, an English scientist, Robert Hooke, discovered cells in a piece of which be examined under his primitive microscope. Observe actually. Hooke only cell walls because cork cells are dead and without cytoplasmic contents. Robert Hooke, who discovered cells in 1865, he published his findings in his famous work Micrographia, Psychological Description of Minuted Bodies Made by Glasses. Robert Hooke used a microscope to examine thin slices of cork. He observed that cork is made of tiny hollow compartments, reminded him small rooms, so he gave the rooms the name cells. The plants Hooke observed were actually observing cell walls and empty space. Next is Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, a Dutch microscope maker, was first to view living cells. Leeuwenhoek used a simple handheld microscope to view pond water and scraping from his teeth. He discovered protozoa, the single-celled organism, and he called them animalcules. He also improved the microscope and laid foundation for microbiology. He is often cited as the first microbiologist to study muscle fibers, bacteria, spermatozoa, and blood flow in capillaries. Next is Lawrence Oken. Lawrence Oken maybe have been the first to come up with cell theory, as he stated all living organisms originate from the consist of cells. German nature philosopher and microscopist, trained in medicine at Freiburg University. Next, Robert Brown, born on December 21, 1773, died on June 10, 1858. He studied orchids. 1827, he noticed pollen granules jiggled around Brownian motion. 1833, he discovered nucleus. He discovered nucleus while studying the process of fertilization under the microscope. He found the nucleus in the reproductive cells complete answered. He was studying the process of fertilization in orchids under the microscope, and while studying this, he observed an opaque area which he called as the nucleus. Next, Matthias Jacob Sheldon, a botanist microscopist. In 1838, he declared that the plant organism is made up of cells. In 1838, Matthias Sheldon, a German botanist, concluded that all plant tissues are composed of cells and that an embryonic plant arose from a single cell. Sheldon investigated plants microscopically and conceived that plants were made up of recognizable units or cells. He accepted the importance of nucleus discovered by Robert Brown and speculated on its role in cell division. Next, Theodore Schwann. In 1839, he proposed that all organisms are made up of cells. Together with Matthias Sheldon, he formulated the cell theory of life. Schwann all discovered the cells now known as Schwann cells that form scat surrounding nerve axons. He conducted experiments that helped disprove the theory of spontaneous generation. He was the person who came up with the word metabolism to define the chemical changes that takes place in a cell. He almost rated that yeast organism cause fermentation of sugar solutions. And that's all. Thank you. I am Rosalinda Ballesteros from Bachelor of Secondary Education, Third Year College. Thank you. Keep safe always.